Good afternoon. I call this meeting to order at 1:13 p.m. on Tuesday, February, no, am I right, Tuesday? Yeah. 13th, thank you, that's right, 13th, 2024. Happy pre-Valentine's Day to you, and also happy Black History Month to you as well. My name is Harry Spikes, and I am the chairman for CHAP. And I'd like to welcome you all. Before we get into it, I want to allow everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves.
Eric Holcomb, Executive Director at CHAP.
John Bullock, City Council Representative, CHAP.
Gary Rodwell, CEO, Coppin Heights Community Development Corporation, representing Coppin Heights CDC and Baltimore Heritage.
Peter Morrill, Commissioner.
Sarah Langmead, Commissioner.
Catherine Good, Commissioner.
Myra Mendeleev, Commissioner.
Ann Powell, Commissioner representing Greater Baltimore Committee.
Garrett Power, Commissioner.
Kyle Lynn, Commissioner.
Nicole Battle, Commissioner representing Affordable Housing Developers.
Jill Dennis, Commissioner.
CHAP staff.
Warren Chiswick, CHAP staff.
Tyreek Charlouse, CHAP staff.
Eddie Leon, CHAP staff.
And I'd like to once again welcome everyone who's in attendance. The CHAP mission is to enhance and promote the culture and economy of Baltimore through preservation of buildings, structures, sites, neighborhoods that have aesthetic, historic, and architectural value. The goals of CHAP include preserving historical architecture and monuments, reclaiming broken neighborhoods, preventing demolition by neglect, and integrating our city's past with its future. So I have a few housekeeping rules. If you have a cell phone, which most people do, please put it on silent. If you have a conversation that needs to happen or doesn't need to happen, please have it outside. If you are speaking while the commission is in deliberation, I will just look to you all, and you all know what that means. Finally, I'll say this. If you come and if you have signed up for testimony, if you haven't, please let our office manager in the front know if there is a testimony that you'd like to give on one of the topics with the agenda. If you do not have a copy of the agenda is outside. For those who are giving testimony, you have 2 minutes, but this is what I'll do. When you have literally 30 seconds left, I'll do this. I will not hit the gavel on you, but once I throw that up, that means you have 30 seconds. During testimony, I would just mention your name, and once again, if you haven't signed up, please feel free to sign up. Moving forward, as it relates to the minutes, I would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes. Okay. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to the minutes? Okay. And I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let us begin. Due process and review procedures. CHAP reviews applications in conjunction with the building permit process of the permit section of the Department of Housing and Community Development. If a building permit application is filed prior to historic design review, the application is placed on hold pending completion of the CHAP review process. The review process is completed by issuing an authorization to proceed. The historic design review process is in addition to other applicable laws and regulations and does not diminish the force of urban renewal plans, building codes, zoning codes, etc. It is the applicant's responsibility to comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and codes. Proposed projects are reviewed prior to issuing a building permit. Applicants must comply with Baltimore City Historic Preservation Design Guidelines in planning and executing their projects. Design review considers the proposed work taking into consideration the historical and architectural character of the structure and of the immediate area. Applicants will need to clearly explain how their project complies with the design guidelines. Minor projects. In order to expedite the application process, the Commission has delegated review authority to the Executive Director for cases involving minor work. Minor work projects must not significantly change the overall appearance and remove significant undamaged historic fabric. All minor work must clearly meet the design guidelines. Major projects. Major projects may change the overall character, appearance, and integrity of the structure. Substantial building alterations, demolitions, additions, and new construction are considered major projects and are reviewed at a public hearing. Interested parties should request a pre-development meeting in planning department to begin the review process. An electronic version of all materials must be submitted to CHAP staff at least 25 calendar days prior to the public hearing date. If the application is complete, the project shall be scheduled for a public hearing. CHAP hearings. At the public hearing, CHAP staff presents recommendations to the commission regarding the project. Following the staff presentation, the applicant may make a presentation to the commission. Interested parties, including neighborhood associations, have the opportunity to provide public testimony. Following testimony, the commission renders a decision on the application at the public hearing. Persons aggrieved by the decision of the commission may seek judicial and appellate review in accordance with the Baltimore City Code. After an authorization to proceed is issued, the applicant may obtain a building permit. The commission's process is impartial, and staff's comments are evidence that assist the commission in rendering a decision. I'd like to make a motion to approve the final agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's do it. Before we begin, are the applicants from 1001 Holland Street here? Okay. So we'll go right into 517 Wolf Street. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me, you all. We have a consent agenda piece. 3110 Elm Avenue. Request update proposed name for Baltimore City landmark designation. The applicant, CHAP staff. The staff is Lauren. Want to ask, we waiving the consent?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Catherine, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The ayes have it. 517 South Wolf Street, Fells Point, Historic District. Request, construct new rear accessory building. The owner is Mary Bickford. The applicant is Jim Schultler, and our staff is Eddie Leon. And before you go, Eddie, if I mispronunciate your name wrong, forgive me. When you do, if you do come up and speak, please give your full name first and last. Thank you, Eddie.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we have a request to construct a new rear accessory building at 517 South Wolf Street. The building is located here in the Fells Point Historic District. The commission has reviewed this property before originally for a proposal that was a hybrid project for a two-story addition on top of an existing garage. The applicant, however, wished to have a more holistic design proposal reviewed and came back and petitioned and received approval for demolition of the existing garage in October. It was not considered non-contributing to the historic district, and therefore it was approved. The site here is the existing garage on the site where a three-car garage once stood. The applicants proposed to construct a 2.5-story accessory building to use as an artist studio with a one-bay garage on the first floor. Application of the guidelines, CHAP staff applied, chapters 2.1, guiding principles of for new design, 2.2 site design, 2.3 scale and form, 2.4.1 building entrances, 2.4.3 garages, 2.45 roofs, 2.5.1 doors and windows, 2.5.2 materials of the Baltimore City Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. We have here the inspiration for this design these are Hab's hair photographs and drawings that were done in the 30s of what had previously existed on the site prior to the construction of the three-car garage, which then became a single bay garage due to demolition. The applicants proposed to construct a similarly styled cottage structure using contemporary architectural materials such as hardy plank and other composite material. It will have a sloping roof. This drawing shows a dormer that has been since modified now to be a traditional gable dormer. The South Chapel Street elevation will have a walkout step and small porch that overhangs the opening to the garage and storage room. This is all within the property boundary, so there are no issues with the public right-of-way here. The roof will be shingled. The rear elevation, which just faces the interior courtyard, will have, again, a small little entry porch, door, transom, window, and handrail and steps down to the inner courtyard that faces the rear 517 South Wolf Street. This is a side view elevation showing the angle of the front, the pitch of the roof line. Is a hilly almost topography that goes up into the rear yard. So the rear is just slightly above grade, while the opposite end at South Chapel Street's 2 stories difference. This is the revised drawings from renderings from the applicant, showing the structure as it fits on the current garage site. As I said, it'll be covered in hardy plank and other contemporary materials. The community association was provided the plans for the review. The DRC had previously approved the reuse plans for the building, approved the demolition, and also supports this new construction proposal. The accessory building meets CHAP guidelines for height, massing, and scale of new construction in a historic district. The building proposes to pay homage, but not exactly replicate the historic house that once stood on the site. Staff believes that minor changes to the proposal should be considered by the applicant for the final design. They've already addressed the dormer style, which they have revised their drawing plans. They've also provided staff a color selection sample which meets the earth tone shade of yellow that we were requesting. The rendering showed it to be much brighter than it actually is going to be. And then the other last consideration is the use of 1/1 windows instead of the proposed 2/2 style. Recommendation, approval of the accessory building with final details to return to staff for review and approval. Thank you.
Eddie, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Eddie? Eddie, thank you. The applicants, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, by all means. Eddie, if you could turn the light on for us.
Could you show the rendering? Yeah. Jim Shetler, Trace Architects. My only comment would be to support the 2/2 windows. The Chapel Street facade is a golden section, 1 to 1.618. The windows are also golden sections, and the divided lights are all golden sections. And then having 1/1 windows kind of defeats that. So that motif kind of carries throughout the project. So I would, as well as the transoms and then the garage door as well, they're all golden section lights as well. So I would really like to keep the original 2/2 design.
Okay,
And that's it.
thank you, thank you.
Unless anybody have any questions or anything. Yes.
I have one question, which is, I was trying to look kind of through Google Maps, but you might know better. Are there any of the row houses on that alley street that have 2/2 windows? I didn't see any immediately, but just
Yeah,
wanted to check.
And a lot of them were kind of pre-chap, and they're not so great vinyl 1/1s, and some of them aren't really great renovations, so I really don't want to use that as a model. I can look, and if I need to bring it back, I'm happy to. Yeah, but it just kind of, we did propose a 6/6, and that was too much, and I think I like this a lot better, and I think it works better with the kind of the proportions of the windows and the facade as well. And I'm spending more money on than I could be.
I mean, I think the golden section, that's fine, but this project specifically references the historic buildings that were there, and I didn't see a 2/2 in those historic buildings, like they're much older and did have 6/6s or
Yeah, but you won't see.
1/1s.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't be you wouldn't see any 1/1s. Historic. Yeah, they'd be 6/6. Again, we're not replicating
No, it's just a question of proportion.
Yeah.
Kip, how you had a question?
I just had a quick question. If you go back to the rendering, or yeah, that one, yeah. Just looking at the north facade, is there a reasoning why there's sort of a roof, like kind of like a double?
Yeah,
and then-
that's a 40-some foot long facade. And then in developing that, there should be an elevation of that.
I don't have that.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't pleasing to the eye. And so I'm continuing the roof line to kind of break up that facade, and that again, all buildings don't convey what their interiors do, but that's kind of the loft storage area, and then the studio portion of the building is towards the back.
And then on the bottom, it kind of jags. I guess is that from the existing garage or?
Yeah, that's an existing, we're keeping some of the existing garage.
Why not just bring the finish and just clad it?
Oh, I like it coming from the ground. I like the building sitting on something where the existing garage, the brick and the stucco kind of gives it a plinth, something and I don't like to bring hardy panel close to the ground anyway. I have that existing, and I kind of want to use it.
You have already at the ground.
Yeah, I know, I know, but I have no choice there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm just asking questions. I guess comments for later.
Any other questions for Jim? Okay, Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
On our list, we only have one person to testify. Mr. Stephen? Feel free to come to the podium and give your full name.
We have a little sample here. My name is Stephen Lampretti. I'm a friend of the applicant, and we have here a hardy plank color, which was what she picked, and the rendering didn't really quite look like that, so I can bring it closer if you want to look at it.
Commissioners, do you wish to look at you good? Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you for bringing that. Appreciate it. Commissioners, for our conversation amongst each other. Any comments? Okay. Go ahead, K-Pal, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have the one. I mean, I don't. I think the north elevation could be simplified. I don't think it's a problem to just have it all consistent and just one material. I don't know. I disagree with breaking up things with little interventions like that. I don't know if it's going to break up the massing. The massing is there, so I think there's a simplicity of just keeping it all clean and not having to just have a single, double slope roof and then and bring all the material down the ground and just keep it a very simple application. But that's my recommendation.
I don't mind it because so many of our Baltimore structures have had kind of original front structure and then rambling additions. So while normally I'd agree with you, in this instance, I feel like it kind of gives it that kind of a feel where there's, the original mass and then a shed kind of added behind it. While there are things maybe that I personally would improve, I think holistically it works well together and none of them are, I think, items that I would, stake a flag on and say, no, this has to be different. So overall, I think this is a much improved scheme over the last time I know that we saw it. So I think this works very well together.
To piggyback off your comment, what would you think if the material that just went down to the ground, but then a change of material color happens to the rear, so then you truly do read that first volume as the indicative for volume, and then the back just changes to something a little bit more subdued?
Again, I can't say that I feel strongly one way or the other enough to be like, this needs to change.
Well, I think that they're getting the yellow from the painted elevation of the rear of the house. So I think they kind of want to create, there's this question more about unifying the components within the courtyard. So that's okay.
Okay. If there aren't any comments, Eddie, can you take us to the recommendation page? Recommendation, approval for 517 South Wolf Street, accessory building approval, of the accessory building with final details to return to staff for review and approval. Who would like to put the motion forward?
I will move to approve the staff recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any abstain? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Eddie. Before we move on to our next piece on the agenda, we did have individuals who came for the Conservation District conversation. I see among us we have Councilman Torrance. Would you like to come up, sir? Thank you. Did anyone else come as well who would like to testify? We've got one more. Do we have anyone else? Okay, so 2 people. Hit the button, hit the green. And when it goes green, there you go. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Councilman James Torrance of the 7th Council District, representing Central West Baltimore. Happy to be with you today. I rarely come, only when things are important and that things are moving the district in the right direction. I think that this is an opportunity to do right by Black homeowners as well as Black neighborhoods in West Baltimore. I say that because I challenged Mr. Holcomb during the budget cycle, and I'm going to reiterate that because that is the conversation I'm having with the mayor's offices and others. If we're going to do this right, we have to make sure that the Conservation District has access for low-income homeowners as well as middle-class homeowners and those who are well-to-do. In a market where people are not getting access to loans anymore because of just fear or just sheer affordability right now, I think we have to be innovative. I think we as a city can put our money where our mouths are and support our low-income persons while persons who have the means can get the same access. So I think this is the right mix. I'm happy that Mr. Holcomb as well as administration are moving along with it. I'm happy to sponsor the legislation in the council to prove that we can do this in a way that's meaningful, but also one as we're building West North Avenue again to be the vibrant community that it is with the historic structures in place. This is a test that we can do the right thing. So with that, I look forward to your recommendation and introducing this legislation at the next council hearing.
Councilman, thank you. Appreciate you. All right. You turn your mic on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I never thought I'll come here again because last time I came here, you guys ran me out.
But don't forget to give your full name first.
Yeah. So Chukwuokoro Okoro Development. But I decided to come here because when I first learnt about it, I as a developer, I thought it's a great idea to have a community that is consistent, historic, always attracts serious buyers and people who are serious homeowners who want to be in a safe community that's going to continue to grow economically. And the learning about the kind of maybe using the wrong word, but the lesser requirements for the historic portion of it, it just kind of makes it more attractive. So as a developer who I intend to work in that area, I intend to play my role in elevating that community. It just shows me that the city's working in the right direction, and so I just wanted to throw my support behind it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who's come that'd like to testify on this topic? Okay, if that is all, I want to thank you all for your participation in the Conservation District conversation. So thank you. Mr. Tyreek, do we have the individuals in 1001 Holland Street?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next on our agenda, 101 Holland Street, Union Square Historic District, requests construct rooftop deck and doghouse. Applicant Tamara Hicks and Nelson. I do not want to mess up the last name, so I'm just going to say Nelson. Staff Tyreek.
All right. Hello, Commissioners. Thank you all for being here. All right, so our request today is construct a rooftop deck and doghouse. The applicant is Tamara Hicks and Nelson Calderon, and I am the staff member, Tyreek Charlews. All right, Union Square is a local historic district that is a dense area of row houses and commercial structures located in southwest Baltimore. Two major features define the district: Union Square Park, which was a donation to the city in the 1840s, and Holland's Market, and the city's oldest surviving market building. The area of approximately 21 blocks is comprised of over 1,000 buildings. This property is located on the eastern edge of the historic district at the intersection of Holland Street and South Schroeder Street at a corner property as the building faces both streets. The existing property is a two-bay, two-story plus attic in-unit row house clad in brick at the front and side with a shallow hip roof with approximately 15 feet, which is approximately 15 feet wide and 64 feet long. As the building is a corner property fronting onto two streets, it has two facades. The primary facade of the house faces onto Holland Street, as shown here. The secondary facade, which fronts on South Schroeder Street, is much longer and comprises of the main block of the building, a two-story brick L and an attached two-story garage clad in stucco. The building's footprint takes up the entire lot, and there is no rear yard. There's a pedestrian alley, as you can see here. All right, here are some close-up photos of the elevation showing the garage clad in stucco. Here is the roof of the proposed structure. This is where the rooftop deck will be placed, as well as the doghouse. The top left photo is looking north, and the right photo is looking south. The main block of the house has a shallow hip roof that slopes towards both Holland Street and South Schroeder Street. There is a large chimney that has been clad in coats of beige stucco as well as protruding out of the main structure's roof line. The roofs on both the rear L and the garage addition have shallow slopes towards South Schroeder Street. Here's the 1890 Sanborn map showing the property, which retains the same massing as it does today. Since the creation of the Union Square Historic District, there has been a few CHAP reviews for this property for minor work. All right. So the proposal is for the construction of a new rooftop deck on the entirety of the garage addition and the rear L, measuring approximately 15 feet by 37 feet. There will be a doghouse structure that will house a circular stair for rooftop access. The doghouse will be located on the rear corner of the garage roof, set back as much as possible from the street, as shown here. Due to the slope of the roof towards South Schroeder Street and a lack of a parapet wall, the necessary metal structure plates and framing for the deck will be visible from South Schroeder Street. Here is the elevation view from South Schroeder Street, as proposed. These are the details of the doghouse, showing the elevations and the stair to the rooftop deck. It will be approximately 7 foot square. Here is a sightline study showing from across South Schroeder Street. So staff applied the Baltimore City Historic Preservation Design Guidelines to this proposal. Starting with 1.81 roofs, so you can see this. Although this rooftop deck and doghouse will be easily visible and seen by the public, it will not be visible from the primary facade on Holland Street. However, because this is a corner property, the rooftop deck and doghouse will be highly visible on South Schroeder Street, the side facade, which is adjacent to the front of homes on South Schroeder Street. Given the site constraints of this corner property, staff finds the siding of the rooftop deck and doghouse to be approvable. So for 1.89 roof decks, the proposal does not fully comply with this section of the guidelines. Due to the site constraints of this corner property, the roof deck will be visible from the street front grade of South Schroeder Street. However, this is a side facade and the rooftop deck is located on the rear L in garage addition, which in the hierarchy of the building form are more utilitarian spaces than the primary block of the house located on the corner of Holland Street. Therefore, this partially meets this guideline. The proposal to use wood to construct the roof deck complies with this design guideline. The application does not specify whether a wood or metal railing system will be used. Metal railings and balusters are recommended to minimize the appearance of the railings as much as possible. As the building covers the entirety of the lot, it is not possible to access the roof from the rear of the property. And so the only way to access the rooftop is through a doghouse. The applicant is proposing a doghouse that will be sited at in the least obtrusive location as possible, which is the rear corner of the garage addition. All right, the next guideline would be 1.18, alterations and additions. The design of the doghouse is simple and utilitarian, and it is set back on the roof as much as possible. It will not be visible from Holland Street. However, the doghouse addition is highly visible from the opposite side of the street of South Schroeder Street. South Schroeder Street is a secondary street with many row houses facing onto the street with their primary facades. The doghouse partially meets the guidelines, but not completely, due to its high visibility. But it is modest in size and is feasible. All right. We've also used the guiding principles for new design, 2.1. The doghouse does not mimic a historic style. Rather, it is a contemporary structure that is utilitarian in form and function. It is not compatible with other additions within the historic district. The design seems ample for the house to carry. The design is aligned with trends of contemporary design with urban landscapes. The doghouse meets this guideline. We've also used 2.45.5 roofs. The shed roof of the doghouse slopes away from South Schroeder Street, but it has a very shallow pitch that is compatible with the roofs within the district. Therefore, the proposal meets this guideline. We've also used 2.5.1, doors and windows. The door at the doghouse will be a one-panel half-light door with grids or grills between glass. CHAP staff recommends that either a 6-panel door to match the rest of the doors on the house or a simple full-light door with no grids will better comply with this design guideline. Therefore, it partially meets the design guidelines. We've also used 2.5.2, materials. The proposed cladding for this doghouse is vinyl lap siding, and the proposed roofing material is corrugated metal. Neither material complies with these guidelines. Staff recommends cladding the doghouse with stucco or cementitious paneling and using a roofing membrane for the roof. Therefore, this proposal currently does not meet the guideline. All right. For neighborhood comments, the Union Square Arc, Holland's Roundhouse Community Association, Southwest Partnership, Commercial Property and Business Owners Community Owners Association, CPBO, and Franklin Square Community Association have received the proposal from CHAP. The Holland's Roundhouse neighborhood has submitted a formal letter in support of the design via email. for staff's analysis. The proposed rooftop deck and doghouse does not fully meet the CHAP design guidelines due to their high visibility on the secondary facade. But the CHAP guideline states, in most cases, highly visible rooftop additions and decks easily seen by the public at the front of the building are not permitted. This offers flexibility. Due to the site conditions, with this being a corner property that takes up the entire footprint of the lot, there is no alternative location for the rooftop deck and no other option for rooftop access other than a doghouse. The proposed doghouse is located as far to the rear and inside corner of the lot as possible. The rooftop deck is not located on the main block of the house, but on the L and garage addition. Additionally, the South Schroeder Street elevation is not the front of this building, even though it is a highly visible elevation. Thus, CHAP staff determines that this proposal is approvable due to the site conditions of this property. The proposed materials for the rooftop deck and doghouse do not fully meet the design guidelines, and staff advises that the applicant utilize a metal railing system, stucco or cementitious siding, a roofing membrane, and a 6-panel or full light door. Staff believes that the updates to the materials will make this proposed rooftop deck visually compatible with the historic character of the neighborhood. Staff recommends approval of this rooftop deck and the doghouse with the final design details on the cladding, roof, door, and railing system to be reviewed and approved by staff. Thank you, Commissioners.
Tyreek, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Tyreek?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Peter.
I was looking at the plans. I was trying to figure out what the plan is for the rim joist on the outside. Like the recommendations for, a metal railing and all of that is good, but I wasn't quite clear on how that was being treated.
The metal railings or the
The rim joist that'll be on the street-facing facade, the section in here doesn't seem to show how that's gonna be treated, or if it's just exposed
There is no solution.
2 by 12.
Yeah, you can look at the elevation and you can't, like the 2 by 12's not reading through.
Right.
All that would be expressed or not. Can't tell.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, the drawings are the proposal, are being shown as proposed. So this is how it would look
Okay.
proposed.
Any other commissioners?
Show an elevation.
Okay. Tyreek, thank you. Is the applicant here? Oh, by all means.
Hello.
And please give your full name. Hello. It's on.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tamara Hicks, and I am currently the owner at 1001 Holland Street. I'm excited and nervous to be here, and hopefully this is sort of the end of a very, very long, tedious process. So I moved here to Baltimore in 2019. Fell in love with the neighborhood immediately. I work at the University of Maryland, and I did do the Live Near Your Work program. In researching the area, one thing that drew me to Holland's Market was the community, right? So there was the Sawebo Fest. There were so many different types of community activities. So moved here 2019, got really excited, and then COVID. Yeah. So it's myself and my daughter. My daughter has autism, nonverbal, and so we live a life that's really kind of isolated, right? And then COVID came and made it worse, right? And so then I got the brand new off the shelf COVID without the vaccine, and was really, really sick. And at that point, my doctor said to me, if you had just gone outside, if you'd just gotten some vitamin D, maybe this wouldn't have been as bad. But as you can see, unlike my neighbors, I have no backyard. I had no way to get out. My kid was going through, and we just did not have a lot of space. So in that time of dreaming, I'm like, man, what would that look like? What would it look like to have a rooftop deck? And so I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed and dreamed. And so this past year was the first time we started to kind of look at what this might look like. So my side faces the elementary school. No windows on that side. I don't get to look at the little faces. First thing I was going to do is I was going to go out the back. I was going to go through the hallway, make something off the back, but then that's Mr. Larry's backyard. So then I was gonna do the latch roof, was gonna do an elevation up, not enough space, couldn't do it. So the only way that we could do it was to come through my third guest bedroom, get rid of the closet, do a spiral staircase, and of course I needed something over my head. Did a lot of driving through Canton and Fed Hill and Locust Grove, just kind of see what people had. And then we came to the problem with the doghouse. And so that has been the contention, and it's the reason why I'm here to kind of let you know why. It's really the only option that I have. Nelson was on his way from Rockville, Caldrone, but he's a little stuck. So we have both been of the opinion that we are open to any suggestions that continues to support my neighborhood and support this dream of building this doghouse. So I'm open to any questions if I haven't answered anything.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, thank you. Catherine?
So has there been thought about what the material of the railing would be at all?
So it sounds like what he said was that you guys would recommend a mix of metal and wood or just metal. If that's what you say, then that's what we
You
do.
don't have a preference. I just because it's not noted on the drawing.
No, so my only requirement, an ask of both the architect and the contractor was safety, right? Because I have a daughter who does not understand danger, right? And I also have a little 4-year-old nephew. So I just wanted to make sure, things were as safe as possible, and whatever material is necessary to make that safe, then that's what we'll do.
To that note, just so you know, they call out for a 36-inch high railing. This would require likely under code a guard railing, which is actually 42 inches.
Okay.
So, that is something to make sure that gets updated, especially being concerned about that safety.
Okay, 42.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So in the section, it looks like that, not that section, I don't think it's in this presentation, so what we were looking at was fine, actually.
The one with the spiral stair?
A side elevation. So there's that kind of roof that's on the original piece, and I was wondering, with those little eyebrow windows, and in the architectural section, it looks like there's a floor there. So I was looking at, did you look at coming out that way?
Say it one more time.
I think she said that she did, but.
So that is my bedroom.
Correct, but like on the photos online, it shows that there's a staircase in that bedroom that goes up to a
Yeah,
loft.
that's my closet.
And then up in that loft, you could come straight out.
That would require somebody to walk through my bedroom, up my stairs, through my closet, and then out the door.
Okay, and then, so you're gonna have 2 interior stairs that go up to the roof level. One that goes up to your closet, and then one that goes up to a doghouse that's against the historic district guidelines, and then go out to your roof deck.
There is a spiral roof that goes through the guest bedroom as the only way to my closet, to the roof, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Are there any other commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm
Thank you.
sorry, I do
Yeah,
have
well, go ahead, sir, go ahead.
Did you consider setting back the edge of the roof deck from the very edge of the building?
Tell me what you mean by that.
I mean that instead of bringing specifically on the, I'm sorry, what's the street called? Schroeder Street elevation, rather than having this, rather than aligning the edge of your deck with your building wall, bringing it back in by a couple feet?
From what I remember, it was something about strength and support of the deck. I really wish he had.
Well, yeah,
So,
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, the deck could still be supported without the guardrail being right there, though. I'm just thinking about how much, because also, since, this is gonna have to get raised another 6 inches. And this is kind of proportionally a big chunk to add to this wall and to be flush with it. So I'm wondering about scooting that back just a little bit.
not opposed.
Just for clarity, you just have one entrance to get to the roof, or do you have two?
So there is no entrance to the roof.
I'm just asking with
Yeah, I'm creating an entrance to the roof now.
just one or two?
Just one.
Okay.
But there's an existing stair in the front bedroom on the second floor level that's not shown in the floor plans, but it shows up in the last page of the drawings. Actually, it's the first page. The pages are out of order in the PDF. So it's A1. Yeah. So it's like so what Commissioner Powell was saying is that there's already a stair that brings you up to the level of the roof. You'd have to alter the existing roof to get out onto the back, and you'd have to go through the primary bedroom, but there's another stair there that exists already.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarity. Are there any more questions for Ms. Hicks? Ms. Hicks, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry, can you send us to our recommendation page?
Yes.
So commissioners, before we render a decision, I want to give you all opportunity for discussion.
Just making sure there wasn't anyone registered to testify on this item.
Oh, Catherine, thank you. There's nobody. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, it's not a question. It's more so of a comment. Definitely understand where Ms. Hicks is coming from. Again, I appreciate her giving that testimony. Again, not only thinking about giving consideration to the historical nature of the building, but also trying to work with some of the parameters that she's dealing with. Representing that neighborhood, I understand the complexities of some of those properties, but the fact that the neighbors are also on board with that, and she's working through this. And I think with the staff recommendation, again, having this come back to be reviewed and approved by staff, because it seems like there's an openness to the types of materials that can be used, and it seems like it's an attempt to work in good faith. So just want to put that out there.
Councilman, thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Kapow.
Just quick, I personally don't have an issue with the proposal. I think staff, actually, I just wanted to make note that staff did a good job of recommendations, and just to hold true to those. So all the ones that Tariq put on the table I would recommend those as well.
Sounds good, Kapow. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I agree with Commissioner Lynn that I think that there were good recommendations, especially as pertains to the materials of the pop-up, because the corrugated would be too industrial for this neighborhood, which is not an industrial neighborhood. But yeah, so I think I would just ask the applicant to consider pulling back the edge of the roof, of the deck from the Schroeder Street elevation so that it wasn't flush.
Okay. Go ahead, Catherine.
So I also agree on the materiality question there. On the railing, I do want to make sure, one, it gets to the proper code height, which will just add to that kind of proportional concern that Commissioner Langmead had, because it will be another 6 inches taller than what it's currently shown on the elevations. It just kind of, for a point of clarity, we realize the structure may have to bear on the outside wall, but that doesn't mean you have to have the railing all the way out at the edge. So, that would be something that would need to be worked out with the structural engineer, but it should be possible to at least be able to pull the railing back a little bit, and that would help reduce how tall it feels from the edge. I know that you requested about possibly changing the door to the other side, correct? So that would be just one of the items that you would kind of be lumping into your recommendation to work with for staff approval. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead, Ann.
I just want to point out that basically we could add, their dormer could be added to an existing third floor of this house, and you could come out very discreetly onto the roof. You would save a construction of an interior stair, and then a pop-up doghouse, which from a constructability standpoint is avoiding a whole lot of issues and saving serious money on the project. That's just things to consider. But I think from a historic district perspective, coming out of the existing roof, which is completely accessible. This section indicates that it's quite easy to come through the roof onto the roof deck and avoid adding this pop-up that's completely freestanding in the historic district. It's not going to be attached to any walls or anything. It is just all there by itself. I mean, I think that that's something that's worth considering. I just want to put that out there to the commission.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Ann.
I was debating in my head whether that would make more sense. I mean, I agree that it probably would save money to do it that way, even though, there's the aspect of how you're circulating through your house that you're considering. But I don't know if it is more of an alteration to put the pop-up doghouse that's new to the back of the property where you can tell that it's new versus altering the historic roof profile. So there's sort of a trade-off there.
That's kind of where I landed with that too. I mean, I think the size of what you have to add, I don't think would really change because it's this kind of, pyramid-shaped roof, and you'd still have to come off with a size that's tall enough to add in a man door. And I actually disagree that it would be an easier change or more cost-effective because you're messing with, angled roof rafters, and it looks like maybe there's kind of, a truss or a cord kind of tying things together. And I think the modifications for roof framing will be much easier out in the corner. So I don't know that one way or the other would be really less visible or more visible, but considering the guidelines in the neighborhood, I am just as comfortable with the existing proposed location as with a scheme to come out the side of the roof, personally.
Okay. Well, if there's no other conversation, I'll read the recommendation. 1001 Holland Street, Union Square Historic District, construction of roof deck and doghouse. The recommendation, staff recommends approval of the rooftop deck and doghouse with final designs, details on the cladding, roof, door, and railing system to be reviewed and approved by staff. The motion is on the floor. Who would like to put that motion forward?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All abstain? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next and finally on our agenda, 21 through 23 South Carey Street, back at Union Square, Historic District, request demolition hearing 1, determination of architectural significance. The applicant, Ernest Valerie. The staff is Mr. Tyreek.
All right. Good job. All right. The request is is a demolition hearing 1 for the determination of architectural significance. The applicant is Ernst Valerie, and the staff is myself. So you already understand the site conditions of Union Square. As shown here, this property is centrally located within the Union Square Historic District. All right. As you can see, here is an aerial view. 21 South Carey Street is a mid-block 3-story row house with a partially raised basement that is in a moderate state of deterioration. The facade has been covered in formstone that has failed at the first floor. Beneath the formstone, there's structural concrete block, which raises the question of how much of the brick facade survives underneath the remainder of the formstone. There are no existing original materials remaining on the front facade, except the door trim and the transom, which are in very poor condition. The two-story rear L and rear additions appear to be original, based on the documentation on the Sanborn maps. But the additions have been altered and are very deteriorated. 23 South Carey Street is an end-of-group row house. Historically, its side elevation was adjacent to the rear yards of houses that fronted onto Holland Street, but those adjacent properties were demolished to construct a car service station in 1940. The building is in a modest state of deterioration, but has been altered. The brick facade dates to 1980 and has window openings that are smaller than other comparative properties on the block. The original materials appear to survive at the property, except perhaps some masonry and framing. Historically, there was a two-story rear L with a later addition and a one-story addition. Today, the rear addition on the property is just one story and appears to be a non-historic replacement. All side and rear elevations are stuccoed and have vinyl replacement windows. Here are some of the historical photos of the property from the 1970s. Here are the existing conditions. Yes, to which point? You're welcome. So yes, this is a 1970s photo from CHAP Archives. Yes. Here are the existing conditions. So as you can see here, oh man, how do you do this? Bear with me. All right, but as you can see on 21 South Carey, to the bottom right portion of the existing door, the front facade has been replaced with structural concrete block. And through a site visit, it looks like in its entirety.
Where did you see that from? Did you go, you can go inside the building, right? No, I see that. But in its entirety based on that little.
Yes, yes. So as you look into the building, you can see that more of the facade is made out of this structural CMU block.
So you did go into it?
No, I peeked my head in.
Okay.
Yes, because that was a point of contention. All right, here is 23 South Carey Street, the front and rear elevations as existing today. So as you can see, the front fenestrations have been altered completely. All right, so, all right, we're going to begin with the background for 21 South Carey Street. In 2013, CHAP staff issued an ATP for the exterior rehabilitation of 21 South Carey Street for a prior owner, but the work did not occur. The work was to include the removal of the formstone and repointing of the brick. With new windows, doors, siding, roofing, cornice, gutters, and downspout. This work did not occur. In 2017, a vacant building notice was issued to a prior owner. Then, the current owner purchased the property in 2022. A vacant building notice was reissued to the current owner. Right? So here's the background for 23 South Carey Street. In 1980, CHAP staff issued an ATP for the replacement of the front brick wall, repair of the side and rear walls with stucco, the demolition of the first-story rear addition, installation of a new cornice, front steps, aluminum 1/1 windows, and front door. However, the reconstructed brick facade and cornice did not match the plans that were approved by CHAP with a different cornice and lintel details and smaller window openings than what CHAP approved. This is true. In 2017, a vacant building notice was issued to a prior owner. Then, the current owner purchased the property in 2022, and the building notice was reissued to the current owner. Both properties are currently vacant, and documentation from both DACD code enforcement records the applicants demonstrate that the properties are occasionally open to casual entry. The applicant submitted building permits for demolition in November of 2023. All right. The applicant proposes to demolish both structures here. Staff used 3.6 demolition hearing 1, determination of architectural significance, to determine if this property still holds its architectural significance. So a determination regarding the significance of the structure will be made prior to considering details of the demolition and hardship application and any projects for the new construction on the site. Doing so allows the commission to determine the importance of the structure solely on architectural and historical criteria. If a structure does not meet the criteria or contribute to the historic character of a local district, then authorization to proceed for demolition shall be issued. So staff used 2.2, criteria for designated districts and landmarks. 21 and 23 South Carey Street were built together along with the rest of the block on South Carey Street in the mid to late 19th century. These brick structures were built with three-story main blocks and with flat roofs and two-story rear Ls. Based on the architecture and history of these buildings and their surrounding context, staff has determined that they no longer meet any criteria for designation. These buildings are not associated with the events that made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of Baltimore's history. While these buildings fit into the basic historic development pattern of Union Square, they aren't uniquely significant within that development pattern. No known person that significantly shaped Baltimore's history is associated with these properties. The buildings are not the work of a master, nor do they embody any high artistic values. While the buildings retain the original form of the original row houses, there is too little physical integrity to retain any architectural or historical significance due to alterations on both the exterior and interior of these properties. For the neighborhood comments, these properties are in the Union Square Historic District. Therefore, staff informed the Union Square ARC, CPBO, Holland's Roundhouse Community Association, Franklin Square Community Association, and the Southwest Partnership about this application. Staff is still waiting for a formal response from all parties. The CHAP staff has reviewed the architecture and history of the buildings and determined that the structures do not meet any criteria for designation and thus are eligible for demolition under the considerations of Demolition Hearing 1. Staff further recommends a determination that the buildings do not contribute to the historic district or Union Square and that they may be demolished. Thank you, Commissioners.
Tariq, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Tariq? Okay. Tariq, is there a representative from Ernest Valerie here?
No.
Okay. Tariq, can you take us to back to our recommendation page? Thank you, sir. Want to give it to our commissioners for discussion? Any comments?
I have one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
This comment doesn't necessarily change my opinion on the finding of significance or not for these two structures, but I did just want to note that, this is a block that has seen substantial demolition. And so this request is for two structures, but there just aren't a lot of structures left on this block. And so I wanted to point that out to my fellow commissioners as we're trying to be more intentional about when we approve demolition and making sure that a property isn't going to languish after demolition before a new project comes to fruition. So I just felt like I needed to point that out.
Duly noted. And
I think it's part of a larger planned mixed-use development.
That is true.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. If there is not any more discussion, 21 through 23 South Carey Street, Union Square Historic District, demolition hearing one, the recommendation. Staff recommends a determination that the building does not contribute to the historic district of Union Square and may be demolished. Do I have someone who would like to put the motion forward?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
No, just a bit of unreadiness. Can I ask?
Of course. I mean, go ahead.
Mr. Chavez, do you know of, in reference to the question, do you know of any development plans on the part of Mr. Valerie for that neighborhood?
Yes, so 25 South Carey Street has already begun construction of the Caju Creamery, which is the gas station that you see at 25 South Carey. So that, yes, so that has already begun construction. We have an ATP for that. So these buildings would need to be demolished for the larger development. On the properties behind the existing structures, as Ms. Catherine Good has stated, a lot of the structures have already been demolished, so the mixed-use development will actually go behind and on Holland Street as well.
You have a good aerial photograph.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So, thank you. So yes, the L, as you can see, there will be a large tower on the concrete pad, and there will be a mixed-use development on the grass portion, which is about 3 stories high. CHAP staff is currently working on the height of the tower that will go on the concrete portion. Ernst Valerie is currently working with zoning to get the zoning changed to C1 to allow for this development as well. The current row homes that are going to be demolished will actually be turned into an artist gallery as proposed currently. So, and will serve as an additional entrance to that development.
This is going to be a large project, and it's going to be really up to us to make sure it fits into the community as best as possible. I think they are probably asking for a height that I'm not comfortable with. But when we get there, we'll look at it. But it's going to be probably a couple of CHAP hearings for the review of what he wants to do.
Gotcha. For the new construction.
For the new construction.
You mentioned something was already in construction?
Yes, the Caju Creamery. So it does not look like that as
The Art Moderne
as
gas
today.
station's turning
So
into
yes,
an ice cream shop.
it's been repainted.
I
They're
see.
regrading, the
I need
surface.
to come here because it's interior renovation or something.
New windows, new doors. Yeah.
It's minor, okay.
Yeah.
So, but that was phase 1, and it has already begun.
Tyreek, thank you. Gary, thank you for your question.
Good.
Before I hit the gavel, any abstain? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
So,
Chairman, you got us out of 2:20.
I think I got to credit that to staff. I do. I got to credit that to staff. Any old business? Any new business? I call this meeting is adjourned at 2:22 on 2/13 pre-Valentine's Day. Have a beautiful Valentine's Day and have a beautiful day. Thank you.